Okay guys, so in this session I'm going to be showing you something about lists. In the previous session I showed you something about strings. With lists you can do more things with it, so I'm just going to get straight into this. I've got to show you indexing, slicing and concatenation, by the way, and then we can move on to cooler stuff like methods and classes and things like that in a later session. But I have to get through how to do lists with you. So how to do a list, my underscore list, you can call that whatever you want. I'm using the formal notation using the underscores. You're supposed to use that. So if you're following along, try to do it the way I'm doing it first. You're not really supposed to have numbers in there. But having said that, it will work if you didn't have an underscore there like that. But formal Python notation says you should have it like that. Not that I really follow formal notation. Anyway, so my list equals, make sure you've got equals there, square brackets, has to be square brackets for a list, and then put whatever you want, 56, 89. Now my list is 15689. That could represent anything. That could be the ages of people in your family. Maybe you've got a baby, that's 1, a parent that's 56, and an elderly grandparent that's 89 years old. If you wanted to print this, you would use the print function and my list. You should be aware of how to do that with the previous sessions. Now I've done it quite often, and there just prints your list for you. If I wanted to use a different type of function, let's say I wanted a function that told me how many items I've got in my list, that's called len, meaning length. It's an inbuilt Python function. My list. Now, given this is Spyder, if I run this, I'll just do it now, it's not going to show you what the length is. It's just going to run this first command. That's because I haven't said print. Now, I can't just say print len my list. I'll get an error with that. So I have to ascribe it variables. If you don't know what a variable is, please go to my previous session 2, which I went into variables. So a equals len my list. Now if I say print a, that should now work, and yes it does. 3, you've got 3 items in the list. Just so you're aware, I could have it it doesn't have to be just integers. I could have a string in there like tree 56 and maybe 89.1, so a floating point. So a string, an integer, and a floating point. I run that, tree, integer, floating point, and the second command there says what's the length of it? It's indeed 3. So the lists have more ways of doing things. You can put more things into it. You can put strings in it, you can put integers in it, you can put floating points in there. So it's got more capacity than just strings alone. So I hope that's clear. Right, the next thing I have to get into are indexing. So how do I do an index? Well, the function for index is simply my list, and then do, hope this works, 0, and I just do print my list 0. Let's see what comes up. And it's taken the very first, so it did work. So print my list 0. That's called indexing. So if you've got my list and then in the square brackets just 0, what it does, it looks up the list you created, my list equals this, and it indexes 0. And the way the indexing structure works is 0 is the very first item, 1 is the second item, 2 is the third item. So I don't know why it doesn't start 1, 2, and 3. That would be more intuitive. It just doesn't. It starts 0, 1, 2. Just get used to that. So the 0 equals tree, and it's called it there. Look, the very first item, 0, is tree. Just bearing in mind, it's still got the 3 there because that's the length command, and the call my list command there. So I could remove this. Don't need this now. Showing you how to do that. And rerun this, and now it shows you the list and the first index, which is tree, within that list. So I hope that's clear how to index. The second thing I want to show you is how to do the slicing function. So my list, exactly the same, my list, and this time you want it to be 1. I'll show you what this means in a second. I'll just run it, and then I'll show you, because it'll just make more sense if I do it like that. So it gives you, I've just run print my list and a slicing command, which was 1 and then colon. And that's come back with 5689. I'm going to remove this indexing thing here because it just simplifies it. There we are. So you can see it next to each other now. So I've just sliced it. Basically, I've cut tree out, and it's the remaining is 5689.1, which is called it there. Why did that happen? Because basically the slicing command I gave it said 1. Remember, tree is 0, so it says take everything from 1, colon means the end. So it skips tree, it goes to 56, which is the first index, and it takes these two. So if it said 0 to the end, it would just take the full thing. But I didn't. I said take from 1 to the end. Well, 56 is indexed as 1. Remember, 0, 1, 2. So 1 to the end. So it takes these last two numbers and it's just sliced them out. So it got rid of the tree. Now the last command I want to show you is a concatenation. So let's say I had another underscore list equals 100 and another list, sorry, that should be equals, and the thing should be also in a list format. So 100 and 20 and 10, so another 3 items. That should be okay. Don't know why it was coming with an error. So that's another list now I've created. And then if I basically print my underscore list plus another underscore list, let's see what I get. Look, that's concatenation there. I'll just get rid of this. I don't need to show you that now. I've shown you already. There we are. So it's concatenated. So concatenation basically means adding two lists together. So you can see the tree 5689.1. That's from the very first list. Another list is 100, 20, and 10, and it's basically taken the 100, 20, and 10 and added it to tree 5689.1. So it's basically compiled the two lists together. That's concatenation. Now that's all I need to show you for this. I didn't show you this stuff with the strings because it's exactly the same. You can perform the same functions with the strings as you can with the lists. So again, if there's anything you want me to, if you want to go through things in more detail, go to the Python documents in terms of the official documents on the website I showed you in the first session. That will go into these things in a lot more detail. But that's just the basics. Remember, I'm just trying to show you the basics here. It's about trying to get you to building a neural network without too much heavy learning, because what usually happens is when people start learning Python, they get fed up halfway through, like I did so many times, and they get fed up because the learning curve is just too great. So I'm just trying to show you the basics and get you to move you along as quickly as possible. Okay guys, that's everything I wanted to really show you for this particular session. I'm going to get into some cool things. We're going to get onto like classes and methods now in the next session. So we're getting closer to developing a neural network. Okay guys, I hope you like that. Please like and subscribe.